show.
We're content creators.
That's right.
Look at us go.
We're where content goes to die. Oh, shit. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. Sorry. Thought I hadn't done a thing that I did do. Okay, here comes, everyone. Enjoy the following stuff. You all right? You okay? What's the matter?
Yep, I just saw a big headline. I'm popping it in the news. It's all good.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry to
All right.
interrupt you, buddy.
Okay, that's a big deal.
We have breaking news coming up in a little bit.
Excellent. Here it comes in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to Core. This is Core Video Game Talk from Three Dudes. What does it? And we're the only podcast.
What does it?
We're the only podcast certified as vegan by the National Institute for the Determination of Vegan Podcasts. Do you guys know that?
No, I think it's more shocking that organization exists. Like, what do they do with 90% of their day?
I kind of made it up, but
just listen to podcasts and they go, "No, it's not vegan."
It don't sound vegan.
I thought you said termination. I'm reading the script. It says determination.
Determination. Yeah, we don't want to.
Termination. I was like, wait, they marked us for death. Like they were. They marked us vegan by the Committee for Terminating Vegan Podcasts. I was like, oh no.
I did eat a tiny pickle earlier. Look at it, a little stub of it.
Oh, vegan pickle?
No,
it's vegan. Sure, I think. I don't know. Are pickles vegan? Yeah, right.
I really
don't know.
Unless they boil not boil.
This is why we have a committee.
Yeah, that's right.
This is what the committee is for, Scott. I don't know. We can't.
That's right. We don't have answers to this. I do have an answer to one thing though. We got a listener who wrote, and I want to play this now because this may seem like a weird time to do it, but I think kind of top of show is the perfect place for it. Somebody got Refantazio based on our recommendations, and I'll let this explain itself, and then I'm going to show you some examples. It's pretty awesome. Here you go.
Hey, Core Crew. This is Colin in Seattle, Orthros in chat, calling in to let y'all know that I have now purchased Metaphor Refantazio based only on the soundtrack that y'all played. That battle theme slaps. I gotta let y'all know though, I am one of those degenerates that listens to podcasts at 2 times speed. So, if y'all want to get yourselves a little bit of a treat, go ahead and listen to that battle theme sped up at 2x. That'll get your heart moving. Anyways, love the show. Cheers.
All right. So that was awesome. Thank you for that. Now,
I'm so excited for this. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to play something first that will remind you what the actual real-time version of it is so we have something to compare it to. So that's this. I'll just play a little bit of it. All right, played last week. We all know what that sounded like. Would you like to now hear it at 2 times speed? Are you ready for this?
Yes, so much so, yes.
Here we go.
I'm going to do dishes to this. They'll get done in 15x the speed.
I thought for fun I'd slow it down too, so here it is at 0.5. I really dislike the slow version. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan either.
Yeah, it's not like when you slow down Jolene. It's like, it's a problem.
Yeah, but this is better. I mean, I could, that get you moving, get you going.
Poor theme music, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, that was great.
Core. Let's talk about video games.
The theme's over in like 2 seconds.
Let's talk to the dev to see if we can't license it for.
I mean, I'm just always impressed when people can do this, that they can listen to a show that fast and still gain from it, like hear what's being said. I guess you get used to it, but then you have this problem where it's like doing drugs. You can never, once you get off them, now you're back to normal speed. How can you stand normal speed?
It depends on the kind of listener you are, because sometimes for me, like I'll go for a walk and I'll put on a podcast. In the first 10 minutes, it's money, and this is at 1x.
Yeah. Then
all of a sudden, the conversation's getting me thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next 10 minutes, I realize I haven't been listening. Mm-hmm. I'm done with my thought. I had this, whatever epiphany. The blood's circulating around your brain because you're getting exercise.
Right.
And you're like, shit, I need to go back.
Yeah.
Because I missed what was said.
Yeah, but how do you...
So I can't imagine doing that at 2x because I missed 2x the amount of content.
Oh, yeah.
And even just concentrating, like I'm one of those people that has like a voice in their head. So like that's also going on while I listen to things. And so So I just couldn't imagine listening at 2x. It's too much going on, you know. Like, if anything, I'd listen to it slower if it just didn't sound so weird.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because it does sound weird and distorted when it's slow.
It always makes me want to mess with them, though. You know what I mean? Like, it always makes me want to get on here and just for the people that listen at different speeds, go, "Hello, everybody, welcome to Core."
And the next episode, we're going to talk about... And then you have to fake it out.
And today we're really excited to talk to you because we have all sorts of games that we need to talk to because we saw the Video Game Awards, and even though we streamed it, people say we're really rude when we talk over the live show, and now we get to come back here and we get to be a little nicer. We get to present things in a really nice way. Yeah. I want to hear what that sounded like to you. I hope it was great. I hope it was fun.
I hope it was intelligible. I can't imagine what that sounds like it too. You know
I
what?
don't know. I said it, and even I'm not sure.
I'm going back later, and I'm going to find out. I'm going to play it back at 2.
Okay.
See what we get. Can't do it now, though.
We should take what John said and put it to that music.
I love it. We have people listening who are willing to go edit all this together so that the rest of us don't have time for it. But if you do that, send it to us. We'll be happy to play it on the show. All right, we're going to get to our main topic. We covered the Game Awards, but we didn't really have our afterthoughts because sometimes you got to let this stuff soak in and decide whether what you saw was good or not. And so we're going to do just a little bit of that. Couldn't get that word out. All right, so it happened. Let's talk about our takeaways. I like John. John's got a category. He's got yays and yabies. I love that.
Yeah, yaby.
Yeah, yaby, like maybe it was good.
Like I think I might be positive about this, but I need to wait and see.
Yeah, you need to play that or see more or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel similarly about a few things, but my biggest takeaway was. This is not even a game that was under consideration. It isn't even out yet, but just them playing some music from Civ 7, I got like the feels for Civ 7 so bad that I can't wait for a new Civ game. I'm so excited about that game. And I'm not really even sure why. Like I really played a lot of 6 and I'm kind of done. And I don't know if I'm in the right even brain space for another 4X in that vein, but that was enough to get me all fired up. So that worked. Witcher 4 is a no-brainer. I will be playing that. I have a lot of questions about it, but so far so good. And Intergalactic intrigues me. I think we were put off pretty immediately by the fact that there was all this weird brand stuff in there, but I've had a lot of thinking about it since, and it feels like they're trying to make a retro future thing set in the 80s, and part of that satire, part of that discussion, this is still up in the air, but part of that is, being blasted with brands all the time. That's how it was growing up in the 80s. I know that.
Right. Well, it's like you watch Blade Runner 2049 and you're like, well, they better have a giant Atari logo. Like, even though Atari isn't relevant now, like it was back at the time when it was put in there. Like, I want to see a giant Atari logo, like, or else it's not Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not about like, oh, because I really am worried about if Atari is going to be properly corporately represented. And I've said this before. I hate when video games do false company advertising. I just don't like it. Like, going like, hey guys, it's red cola and blue cola. We're so clever. We made fun of Coke and Pepsi by putting their branding on a red can and a blue can. It bugs me. It just distracts me. Like, I know you have to get the rights to it, so, which I also think is stupid. I think every brand out there should be grateful that anybody puts their shit in anything, and you shouldn't even have to ask permission for it.
Right.
That's just how I feel. But I get taken out of it by what people think are like, their clever pun to get around it. I would rather it just say Coca-Cola. Like, if you're trying to evoke someone's drinking a soda in a red can, should just say Coca-Cola.
In the right writer's hands, I trust it more because you can do that. That can be fun. Bob's Burgers does a great job with it in their episodes. Great Simpsons references recently on my watch through. Futurama does this. It can be done so that your fake brands feel, or at least funny.
Yeah.
But
I don't mind Nuka-Cola, right? Because it's very on brand. Like, and maybe it's just been around so long that I'm like, it's a dumb pun. But it also is like, well, we named him Lupine and he became a werewolf later in life. Like, there's a stupid, like, obvious nature to it. But I also think it can be done poorly. Like, as much as I say just use the brand, it does bug me when James Bond's like, I'll take a Heineken, and then holds it perfectly up to the camera and is
Yeah, I hate that.
like, if it's obvious and blatant, I do hate it, but that's not because it's a brand. That's because you're making a stupider movie in the name of brand recognition. When you're in a car that's an obviously like corporate plant of a car, and they shoot 100 bullets at it, and the car shows up and it's dirty, and that's the worst thing that's happened to it because we got to pretend these cars are invulnerable. That's that breaks immersion of the movie. I'm not immersed in your world. That's bad movie making. That's not brands ruining it. I mean, it is, because that's the people who are giving you the rule, but like, that's just bad movie making.
Yeah.
So I don't immediately see brands and go, that's terrible. I'd rather just see it in there, but I hope it's done. I hope it's done well, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hope it's not loving long shots of the fact that, it's a Sony jukebox brought to you by Sony, made by Sony. Like, it just depends how it's done, and I'll know if it's good and I'll know if it's bad because I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
That intergalactic thing though is like, it is like like the Y2K thing, like the retro.
Mm-hmm. It's retrofuturism.
Like, it's kind of but it's like a fashion style now too. Like, people are buying old cameras. Like, I think whoever's making that is either appealing to themselves, like something they think is cool and they're part of that, or it's for those people that look at, brands are a part of that, like retro tech. So it's like, because when I look at that fictional world, I go, so is Porsche, Sony, and Adidas like active companies, or is this person like a man? Life was awesome in the year 2004, and I just collect shit from 2004. The spaceship threw me because that seems like it would have had to have been made in the future, and it's not retro tech. But the CD player and the shoes could be like sweet finds from centuries
That's
past.
true, but it also could be. I thought I saw somewhere in the trailer, maybe I missaw this, but I thought it said something like this was set in a fictional 1987, where we're much more advanced than we were in 87. If that's correct, or this is set.
Oh, it's like a cyberpunk alt history,
kind of alt history,
brands.
Yeah. Or like something you might see made prior to that time, where everyone thought the far future was 1987. Like in 82, you might make a movie about 87 because that seems so far away, but it turns out it's like
right.
It's like Star Trek. The eugenics wars with like Khan and everything in Star Trek lore happened in 1997. But to them in the 60s, that felt like so far away that it wouldn't seem crazy.
Yeah, in 30 years there's going to be a giant war with about eugenics, about gene enhancement.
Yeah. And that's what I think I'm seeing here. I could be wrong, but what I think I'm seeing here is some of that parody, some of that acknowledgement that we're saying, look, this is a brand-filled decade, and we're also, our story's happening in that decade, and this music alludes to it. This 4x3 video everywhere alludes to it. The 80s style anime on that screen, and the phone call I'm having with the lady in the office who's dressed like 1985. This is all like in-universe vibe, and if that's true and it's part of that kind of storytelling, then I'm way more forgiving of that. I'll be fine with it.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where it's like, so we invented fast and light travel, but we still have CD players. Like, you don't, you know what I mean? Like, but whatever. It's
because inventing MP3 players is what prevented us from inventing faster and light travel.
Oh shit!
It's all about resource allocation, because we didn't worry about. We were like, CD players, we don't need anything better than this. Do we need something better than this? Everybody went, no. Let's work on faster than light travel instead, and they figured that out.
Right. Yeah. Like the spaceship's only got like 16 megabytes of RAM. Like, you can't.
Right.
Yeah. The spaceship clearly is not operating with any sort of storage capacity.
Yeah, it's all like, it's where you put your stat points. We dropped music technology evolving. We've made it. Let's allocate these extra resources now into going into space.
Yeah, it's like seeing
I'm still cranky about it. I don't like it.
I know. What's the one with Keanu
but I don't
Reeves?
Have to play it, so I'm not going to shit on it.
What's the Keanu Reeves movie that isn't The Matrix, but it's kind of like it? I can't think of it. It's
Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic in that movie.
Toy Story 4. Oh.
Johnny Mnemonic in that movie, at one point, he says that the world's largest computer, or something to that effect, but it was basically 4 gigabytes. and they acted like when he said it in the movie, it was like, whoa, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and this whole big thing is basically he's a data runner, so he's got a USB stick stuck in his head.
Yeah.
Because the net, I mean, the retro version, future version, the Gibson Internet was a 3D space you could exist in, was hostile and not,
Yeah, but their estimates
so it
about
was safer to transport the data with a courier, which is this whole thing,
right,
than over the net.
But their concept that everything was going to be, they just undershot as to what they thought the future's capacities would be. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with a terabyte on this thing that's barely big enough to cover a fingernail. This little SD card I'm holding up. Like, it's just wild how wrong we got that shit and those older things. But I like the idea of playing around in a world that was like what we thought it might be, but then it's all those aesthetics. Like, we just don't know enough here. My biggest beef about that game trailer is not any of those things. My biggest beef is it looks like it might be a Souls-like, and I don't want to play another one. I'm good.
You think Intergalactic is a Souls-like?
I mean, the only sort of combat thing they showed was going to that planet, hopping out, jumping off a rock, and taking a swing at a four-armed giant.
They arguably, that was like, if they were going to show combat, they did a really poor. Like, they spent so much time on the product placement that they didn't really give you a sense of what the other stuff was.
Well, and that's my beef. That's
not
my
that
beef.
they need to. It's a piece of marketing. We'll find out more later, right? Like, it's just to entice you and build hype. So
yeah, and it did that. It did its job. It's just that I can't. The only part of pseudo gameplay you show me is her attacking a slow-moving, deliberate, animated thing that makes.
I don't think Souls-like players would be into the retro tech stuff. I don't think those are two flavors that would go together. So my
I also
assumption would
think
be
Souls-like is getting dangerously overcrowded.
Same. That's why I don't want
as a term. Like, it's like, is it a third-person game where people fight? Souls-like. No, it isn't. we got to roll this back a little bit.
Yeah,
third person action game, probably. Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
I have a feeling it's gonna be multiplayer too, but
it's like Horizon Zero Dawn sort of third person action. I don't mean thematically, but that kind of
like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, like
right. Like, we're getting to a place where I feel like if someone saw a trailer for Horizon Zero Dawn now, they'd be like, "Oh, another Souls-like."
Yeah, easy to say.
And it's
right?
like, no, it isn't. It's not even close. Although, yes, there's similarities, deliberate patterns that you got to adapt to so that you can take something down and all of that. But it's yeah, it's not a Souls-like.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to really rein in what Souls-like means.
Yeah, and that may happen. Who knows? But it still feels like a weird term that people are going to keep attaching to games that don't deserve having it.
Yeah, because it's well, like the gaming industry does that, right? Something's popular, and if your game's remotely close to it, why not call it?
Yeah.
Why not give it that keyword tag? Like, I always get so mad when I go to I need an RPG to play, and I go to the RPG section, even on like Steam, and it's like Grand Theft Auto's in there, and I'm like, yes, you are. It's like, that's not what I meant. That's why we have CRPG as a term, but like, role playing game is like 98% of games. Like,
yeah,
they're like, you're playing a character. It is a role, so it is an RPG, and it's like, that's not what we're finding Spider-Man in the science fiction section of Netflix.
But that's when it starts to get muddy, because so much of RPG mechanics are also now being integrated to games, but at levels that you wouldn't necessarily say, well, yeah, Call of Duty since Modern Warfare is definitely an RPG because it has some RPG elements in the multiplayer where you know, level up and all that. But no one's calling that an RPG. They shouldn't.
Yeah, and and marketing people have no soul. Like, they're gonna be like, well, how do we sell this game more? Let's like put it in a tag where people can find it. Screw being respectful.
Yeah.
To the meaning of things. If it qualifies, if we meet the criteria as technically as possible, and it goes in the category, and it's like, ugh.
Who's worse, the soulless marketers or parents who tell their kids Santa Claus is real? Where do you land on that?
Oh, this is a Bo question. I was like, let me consider this, and then I was like, oh, you're speaking directly to Bo.
Right. To
who's worse?
Yeah, who's worse? Parents lying about Santa Claus or this marketing bullshit?
I feel like they're one and the same, right? So, this is This is the thing that we do. It's like I don't want to get on my old man shit today. I want to be cool today.
I know, I'm just teasing you. I'm mostly just teasing you. Somebody,
Despite Scott's best efforts to drag him into the old man bullshit,
Yeah. It didn't
I wanna be
work.
cool.
You resisted it well. No, that's good. We'll get less comments on YouTube this time about it.
Yeah, I had enough comments with their live stream viewing because I think a lot of people thought the Intergalactic trailer was cool, and I listened back because I was like, how harsh was I? And I was like, I think at the end of it, I said like, this is the worst trailer I've ever seen.
It's pretty harsh.
Yeah, and I stand by it. I watched it again, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty trash. Sorry, everyone. It's just a reaction. I am not the arbiter of what is right and wrong. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
If you like it, that's great.
Yeah.
I love you for it, and we can still be friends because we all like video games, and it's not like it's the end of the world.
I'm glad that works. I
look at that, and I want a negative by it. I want to stop playing video games.
Yeah. So I really liked it. I thought it was cool. You really disliked it and did not think it was cool. But here we are, still making a show. All three of us making a show.
And the game can still be good. It's just a trailer. It's a piece of marketing saying, "Hey, buddy, you want to reserve $90 or $150 or whatever the hell it's going to cost me now with the tariffs, $200. You want to reserve $200 to play this game? Check out what's coming." And I go, you got to try harder than that. Yep. That's not very interesting. Sorry.
I remember when you said that you weren't going to play Path of Exile till it was out of beta. This too.
Yeah, and look at me. I'm playing 120. Like I know I'm perfectly willing to admit that I'm wrong or that's incorrect. It's a reaction. And currently my reaction. That's how I react to things. I go, ugh. But sometimes the light shines through.
Sure.
He reacts like a video game character getting hit in the gut.
Yeah.
One more time, Bo.
Do it again. That's awesome. All right. What else did I want to say? Oh, the other thing that worked here for me was Astro Bot winning. Not that it should have won or shouldn't have won or any of those things. I think Refantazio is the game to win, but it did make me really want to play Astro Bot. And I think that's the point of this thing and why companies really want to get their stuff in there, why the Wukong people are so pissed, because it means more players. I think just getting nominated means more players because the Wukong concurrent numbers are up. So I think it's kind of good for everybody in that regard, whether or not you agree with how these are chosen or how they're picked or whatever. I officially would really like to play Astro Bot. I
think it does matter to some extent. Like, if you can slap that on your game or that's just the word of mouth on your game to somebody who's less plugged in, like, what should I play? It's like, well, Astro Bot's the game of the year and it's family friendly. Like, you wouldn't go wrong with that. And, Black Myth Wukong, at least for a North American audience, like if I was to tell it to somebody, it'd have to be someone interested in video games already.
Yeah. I
don't think I would take like somebody more in a less invested vertical and be like, you know what game really hits is Black Myth Wukong. I'm more likely to recommend something a little more something different. It just seems niche, but it probably doesn't seem niche in China.
No, they love it.
Where it's there. Like, it's like basically saying like, hey, do you want to play a game with Superman in it?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever and everyone, or Spider-Man, and it was like, yeah. So I think we're
Spider-Man
just
didn't win last year.
That's true.
Just for the record.
No, I know, but like it's still pitchable, right? And I think,
I
mean, I don't know. I feel like that Black Myth sold probably really well, and they don't need an award.
They're okay. They're okay.
Yeah, I think this is just like sports team shit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My favorite game didn't win. Like how I was crying that. At the notion that Baldur's Gate 3 wouldn't win Game of the Year.
So I was going to bring this up in my kind of reaction to the Game Awards, but it's kind of relevant right here, so I'll mention it here. I think what we're talking about right now is maybe the best case I've heard for why, because I was a little like, it's their award show, they can do what they want. Like, I agree, DLC probably shouldn't be nominated for Game of the Year, but like, just, they can do what they want.
Yeah.
I think this right here is exactly why it is a problem that they nominated DLC for Game of the Year. Because I think in general, us as gamers don't really appreciate what getting nominated means.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have this very like, well, it's about winning.
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't win, it's trash. Like, and that's really not how it is. Like, if you look at the Academy Awards, they flaunt the fact that movies got nominated, whether they win or not. It's like, it got nominated for an Academy Award. Are you kidding? You should watch this film. It got nominated.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really like kind of a stinker of a title. Like, they treat it like it's prestige. And I think we need to get to a spot where like getting nominated for an award is, you know, just as good or close to just as good as winning an award. Like only one game's going to get to win, but the nominations are supposed to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you nominate DLC, because they don't nominate that many games. There's a ton of games that they could have nominated. And those are Keeley's awards. He can pick how many games get nominated.
Sure.
It's not that many nominations. And to take out a full-fledged game and put DLC up there in its place kind of gives the impression of it's not as important about nominated, it's more about who wins.
Yeah.
And even me, when I heard that DLC got nominated, I went, well, they're not going to win anyway, right?
Mm-hmm,
Which is, once again, minimizing what being nominated means. I think all those games that got nominated should be celebrated for getting nominated.
Yeah.
But instead, we all kind of go in with this mentality of, oh, all that matters is what game won, and then everybody else is a bunch of losers. And that's not exactly how it should work.
Yeah, I agree.
Then where's your Dawn Trail nomination and where's your War Within nomination? You know,
Well, those are, expansions and DLC, so they shouldn't be nominated.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Yeah, but yes, I agree with you. I'm just saying, because if they do that, then it's like, well.
But I'd rather them fight over the games that didn't get nominated than fight about every game that didn't win, right? Because there's fewer games that are. It's just a bigger bucket, right? Yes, nobody's going to be happy all the time. In fact, most people are going to be unhappy.
They took up a spot that could have been Dave the Diver or something like that. Like,
right.
You know,
so
you've had your moment, Elden Ring, piss off. Like, you know,
yeah.
Well, John, let's swing it all over to you on all your reactions.
Yeah, so I divided mine into two categories and being positive.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you want our positive impressions on the Game Awards. Here's what I was positive about. Start with the stuff that yay, I think it looked great. Number one is Witcher 4.
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red, their next big project. Witcher 4 couldn't be more excited for that game.
Yeah,
so
same.
To me, I don't need to say anything else about it. That's all it really needs.
Keep doubting CD Projekt Red, a lot, and it's like their game's gonna be good at this point. Like,
hopefully, my only hope for the game is that it's good right away.
No.
I don't really want to go through the cyberpunk loop again.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's great immediately, but I'm gonna get the game because, like cyberpunk, even if we're not there on day one, we'll probably be there by year 2.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there. Hopefully it's less of a wind up to being awesome, though. And so another thing we talked about at the end of the Game Awards was how I felt about Astro Bot winning. And I made the analogy of, before I saw Breaking Bad, it used to annoy me that Breaking Bad won all the Emmys. And I was like, why the hell is this show getting Emmys? Because I hadn't seen it and I didn't know. I still have not played Astro Bot, by the way, because it's still expensive and I don't play the PlayStation 5 enough. But I thought about it, and I'm actually really happy that Astro Bot won. Because historically, I was always the kid that was like, why isn't this really funny comedy that I like going to win, Best Picture? It made me laugh. Like, making people laugh is good. This movie should be the Best Picture. And it always bugged me that comedies, for the most part, get overlooked for, like, big awards, because it's only ever anything that's, like, big and dark and serious that gets, major recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And like comedies kind of get their recognition in a separate category. And that always kind of bummed me out. And I don't think it needs to be this way every year. I don't think it needs to be the trend. For once, for a vibe, for it to be a family game where it's a bunch of, like, everybody's getting to play it and have a good time. Like, I think that's awesome.
Yep.
So I'm like kind of all about Astro Bot having won after I spent some time thinking about it. It's exactly the kind of game that when I think about, man, when my son gets a little bit older, we're going to play some games together. Like, it's exactly the kind of game that I think about. Although my son did watch me play a little Path of Exile 2 the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting super into it. I was fighting the Act 1 final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, go, Dad. Don't let him hit you. Don't let him hit you. Go, Dad. And it was so nice. It was so wonderful to have that moment. Maybe not the best video game for him at this stage, But it made me think like, man, it'd be super cool to play a game like Astro Bot, or, you know, we have the little retro Super Nintendo in his room, but he doesn't really ever play it. You know, do that kind of stuff with him. Having a game like that get recognized as Game of the Year is really, really nice. So I've kind of changed my tune on it. At first, I was like, wasn't the game I wanted, but I think it's good, and I'm actually pretty happy about it.
Their acceptance speech went a long way for me as well. Just I really like how they gave credit to their inspiration without naming it. And I don't know why, I just found that kind of warm and cool, and that helped me as well. It didn't help them win, obviously, because they won and then said it, but it helped me want to play the game more. So.
But even their game seems like because I've watched Astro Bot, because I'm like, is this that different from what was out originally? I've watched some of the game. Even their game feels like a love letter to platformers.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, like it is obviously got a lot of PlayStation nostalgia, and even stuff that isn't necessarily specifically PlayStation, but like, you know, sort of tied to it. Like, you know, you got Resident Evil characters and Castlevania characters popping up in it. It's one of those games that like just feels like a love letter to a genre, and I'm glad that we can still recognize that genre. And you know, I've heard people say, well, Nintendo doesn't win every year for Mario. No, but they get nominated. And
almost always.
You know, it's not as impressive when Nintendo makes a good Mario game. They consistently do that. And I do think, you know, like the next time Larian Studios makes a game like Baldur's Gate 3, we know it's not Baldur's Gate 4, but whatever they make next, it's going to have a harder hill to climb to get the same level of recognition, because now we expect it. And that kind of comes with the territory. This studio had made the free packing game before. You know, like that's what they moved on to this from. So I think it's good. I'm excited for it.
Nice.
I'm excited about the return of Onimusha. It's a series that honestly I don't remember very much of, except that I used to play it and loved it. You know, just Resident Evil with samurai and demons. Hell yes. And maybe the most surprise walk away, like, wow, I'm really excited for that, was that game Dispatch, which is that kind of Telltale style superhero game.
Oh, yeah. That looked great.
That looks awesome. Yeah. So those are the things that were probably my biggest like celebration things. And then I also did a category called Yaby ?
Yep. Yabies.
These are things that if I was going to bet money, they're probably good. But I'm a little nervous right now.
Yeah. You're putting the maybe in yay. I get it.
Number 1, Intergalactic. Unlike BEAU, I thought the trailer was fantastic and captured a vibe that I really liked. It felt right out of an era, and I was like, that's super cool. But I don't know what the game is. You know, obviously we already talked about that. I don't have enough information to go, yes, this is going to be great. I honestly think probably the best selling point for the game is who's making it. Naughty Dog has a history of making very good games. That's probably the thing that is the best selling point at this stage for me, because I don't know enough else about it. But that's a pretty good selling point, because I like their stuff, and I like that they're doing something different. Unless it's Crash Bandicoot, because I don't like Crash Bandicoot.
Not a Crash guy, eh?
No.
You should try the newer one. It's pretty good.
Is it?
It's not bad.
Whenever I think of Crash Bandicoot, I think of Crash Bandicoot 1, and I didn't like Crash Bandicoot 1.
I didn't either. I don't like any of the first 3, but I really like the newer. They made one from the ground up, basically 4, and I like the kart racer game. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I liked their commercials.
Yeah, they were very subversive.
Really good commercials for Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Sony's mascot, and instead we had to wait.
It's a robot.
We had to wait 30 years, and now it's a robot. Good job, everybody. Well done.
Elden Ring Night Rain is exciting because it's got Elden Ring in the title. I don't really know what this is going to be. I've heard some crazy ideas of what it might be, but you know, you put Elden Ring anything in something, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll check it out, because Elden Ring's a game I really like.
I think it might be a standalone deal.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think it's DLC. So I think I don't know. It seems to be like its primary thing was co-op, based on some interviews I read. that like its primary focus is to play the Elden Ring game, but to do it with other people in a co-op fashion.
Yeah.
So it may still be like the world we know, but also like just a standalone experience designed for the co-op thing. It's got some crazy shit in it, man. Like
Yeah.
like shockingly, Elden Ring was my most played game this year. We're going to talk about Steam stuff, but like I was still shocked that most of my playtime was early in the year. I haven't touched it in months, and that was like by a country mile the game I spent the most time in. And it sort of made me realize like I'm a pretty big Elden Ring fan. I've really
Yeah.
played the game a lot. I haven't even finished the expansion yet, you know. The game is just such a vibe. It's so good. So like I'm definitely stoked whatever this is, but this might get us getting Scott in there. Like I hope it's like 3 players. Like
Yeah. If the
I
three
know
of
we
us
don't have
could
a lot of
truck
time to play
around in
games
it, that would
together
be
as much as we
fun.
want to, but I would love to like do this game with you guys. You know, it'd be so fun.
Well, that's coming soon, right? Sooner than we know. That's a 2025 thing, I think.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is it's not like a long you know, well, we get it in a couple of years kind of deal. I assume they're working on whatever that game is, and this is just Elden Ring is a money printer, so like that, because I think at one point they said we're doing one expansion, like don't expect any more Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And my comment on it was like, yeah, you know, money is pretty sweet. They're like, and I guess they had a good idea for something, so you know,
They like the cash, and that's like you said, it's a license to print cash. So,
and I'm not mad about it. I mean, game's fantastic. I mean, the game is like still head and shoulders in terms of like a third-person action game. The dragons in this game, holy shit!
Yeah.
You know, and the fight, like there is like something to this the methodical, you know, combat, like the way just combat plays out, and all the tools you kind of have to solve problems. It's something else.
Yeah, I still feel
Yeah.
like I can't remember his name right now, which is shocking because he says it every time he kills you, and I heard it a lot.
yeah.
Robert.
But that fight with Fire Snake Man in the Elden Ring.
Oh, Reichard. Yeah, Reichard, I think is his
I
name.
like that you said Robert. I appreciate
No, not
that.
him, not him. What's his name? The guy with the red hair. He has a snake come out of his eye.
Not Robert.
It's not Robert.
I think it was Reichard. No, am I wrong? No, I am wrong. That's
No.
you're not talking about the guy in the volcanic manor or whatever.
No,
volcano.
not him, not him.
You're talking about the
guy
X
who's in
Pack.
the guy they made a statue of him for the collector's edition. Not Radon, not the last guy.
Hang on. I'm looking it up here.
Is it redheaded
It
guy?
has an S in it because he s***ed his name every time he killed me. He was like, you know, you fallen again, and then he like hisses at you.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but Mesmer? The Impaler?
Mesmer, that's his name. That's it.
Mesmer.
Mesmer. Yeah.
Mesmer.
That fight, even though I couldn't remember his name, is maybe one of my favorite moments in gaming. I loved that fight so freaking much. What a fun time that was. So
Sure.
yeah, the game's magic. It really is. Last thing that I'm yay on is Turok Origins, because I love Turok the Dinosaur Hunter, but nothing in this trailer reminded me of Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. So that's where the like excitement and fall is I'm like, yeah, Turok, I love Turok. Where's the cerebral bore? Where's the goofiness? I did see him fighting dinosaurs, which is good because later Turok games there were like basically zero dinos.
They were all dudes. Later.
They were like weird reptilian men that are like, I'm like a dinosaur. It's like, no, you're not.
No, you need to fight real dinosaurs. That gives me hope too. Because I'm like you. I'm with you. Love me some Turok. Love the comics, and I really like the old games. But part of me is like, this feels like this could be just a new IP even. It doesn't feel like you had to put Turok on here. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm saying, how are you going to make me... Like, by putting Turok on there, you are saying, we have a thing you all remember as kids. This is an awesome game. Play this. So if they're doing that, I want it to feel like Turok. And right now, it just feels like... I don't know. It feels like almost Horizon Zero Dawn, a prequel, before the robots took over.
I just need one little gun. Look, I'm not asking for a lot, video games. But when did Turok 2 come out? It's been how many years since you gave me a gun that fired a little drill into somebody's head and then ejected their brain matter out of the top of their head all over the map going...
Amazing name too. Cerebral Bores is the best.
It has never been topped.
Yeah, it's really
It's
good.
like you guys gave up.
Yep.
Come on.
Do you want a big RAM
Come on.
expansion in the top? So you got to plug that into your PC and put a big RAM. Remember that you had to like upgrade your N64 to make it even run the damn game or something.
Yeah.
Was that,
Yeah.
maybe that was 2.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Otherwise,
That game was such an exciting release at that time.
oh, it was huge, and the draw distances were abysmal, but it was
Yeah.
okay. You know, you were
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, but at the
Be
time,
right
it
up on
was
that
like-
guy to see the cerebral bore.
It had a lot of innovations. I think also like where you hit enemies mattered, and that was a big deal too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and
It was like
hit him in the legs, or if you hit him in the head. Yeah,
yeah.
that was pretty good. I don't know. I'm with you. Yaby. Yaby's a good word for that.
Yaby.
Yeah, I hope that thing turns out. Bo, what do you think about all this stuff?
So I'm not going to recover in any depth things that we've already talked about. Thick of Thieves is interesting to me. It's a Warren Spector multiplayer stealth game. I don't really know much about it other than to say like there might be something interesting going on there. So I wasn't that the trailer was particularly hype. I just am curious about what the studio's up to on that one. Obviously, I'm really interested in Elden Ring and Witcher 4. Big one for me was, of course, Borderlands 4, and it's
Borderlands.
and it's customarily terrible presentation.
Yeah.
I feel like that's also a video game awards staple is Randy Pitchford coming out and doing a terrible job of promoting his material. But
Mother
I don't know
fluffin'.
if he did a good job or not because I was too busy laughing about how he says Borderlands. So
Borderlands,
he might have done an
Borderlands,
amazing pitch, but all I heard was
the trailer looked
Borderlands.
interesting. It's Borderlands, and we'll see. I was a little jebaited because I thought maybe they were updating their graphics, but then it went back to the same old cell shaded stuff, which is not a problem. But I was kind of hyped for
It did look better
after
though.
knowing that Witcher 4, it's like Unreal Engine 5, like let's go next gen tech and graphics and stuff, and it's like nope, but it's fine. Still looking forward to it. The RGG, the Yakuza guys, are making a Yakuza style game in 1915, and that looked interesting.
Yeah.
As well as I think they're doing Virtua Fighter. I care less about that, but
Oh, I don't. You know what?
I think a
should've
lot
put
of
on the
people would
list.
be hyped for that.
Very hyped. It's a weird team. Well, not that weird. They're all spin-offs of AM3 or whatever the team was that Yu Suzuki ran there. So that's all like in the pedigree. Yakuza arguably doesn't exist without Shenmue and all that. So I get why they're on it, but it threw me a little bit. I was like, oh, that's not the usual team, but it is.
I was expecting new Yakuza game, but like we're getting one in 2 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and one that sounds so crazy, like so crazy good.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but their stuff looked interesting. Obviously, Turok, I'm curious. I hope it's good. Could be crap.
Yeah.
I missed this, but when I was looking up a recap, there's actually a side-scrolling Ninja Gaiden game coming.
Yeah, it was right at the very beginning. You might not have even been on the call by then.
Okay, that I was like, oh shit, that looks cool. I'm down. Yeah, like because Ninja Gaiden was like taken over as this third-person thing, which is fine. But like I played a ton. It was one of my original like Nintendo favorite games was Ninja Gaiden. Like I love Ninja Gaiden. And so having them make that, cool. I like that. Slay the Spire 2 obviously made an appearance. That's cool. That Kiora game I'm curious about by the Core Keeper guys.
Yeah.
I still don't know much about it, but it had like a nice 2D side scroller look, and I kind of hope it's something I'd be into.
The lighting looked wild in that. Like,
Yeah.
it looked crazy. I forgot the Ninja Gaiden game. This is the people that do Blasphemous 1 and 2, both of which are on major sales right now. That's interesting to me just for that alone. Like I wasn't much of a Gaiden fan or Ninja Gaiden fan, but that developer makes rad Metroidvania side scroller business. So I suspect they'll do really well here too with an action title.
So, yeah, that looked cool. And then there's that Shadow Labyrinth, that Pac-Man game that kind of threw everybody.
Yeah.
Zoom.
You know what I didn't know? I mean, I didn't know, maybe none of us knew this, but when we saw the first swath of episodes of Secret Level and they showed the Pac-Man one, we just assumed, somebody's weird idea of what Pac-Man might be like. And then it turns out they're making that game. That's a game.
Mm-hmm.
That blew my mind. I didn't expect that. I don't know why.
So I'm curious. That could end up being like it feels like new IP, even though it's like Pac-Man. It's like this new weird thing. So I'm curious about it. Solasta 2 was announced. I wonder how much of a jump of quality that this is going to be from one. Obviously, it's like a scrappy little independent game with a small team that punched above its weight.
Yeah, I love the UI in that game. I loved how
Yeah,
that worked.
me too. So I wonder, and like we were talking about this. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is really good, but like it does some things pretty crappy in terms of rules interpretations. Like flies in the game, but never can you end your turn in the air, even though that's what flying is.
Yeah, and the
and,
primary reason you use it.
yeah, and it's
Well,
like,
one
well,
of
the
them.
game's really good, and we give Larian a lot of goodwill credit, just because what they turned in was obviously a Herculean effort, but there's definitely shortcomings with some of the spells and stuff. And Celeste is actually a game that has tackled some of these spells better. So there's a full 3D grid of combat in Solasta, which like I appreciate that. And you could end your flying turn in the air. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Also, I like the way damage is rolled in Solasta, because they actually show dice.
Yeah.
Including like if you're going to roll 6d6 for a fireball, it'll show all 6 dice. Like I think the die I like that stuff. And Celeste definitely does that better than Baldur's Gate.
I also like Celeste. Celeste made a lot of efforts to let you be a DM and create your own worlds and stuff, and I didn't mess with that as much as I'd like to. But they didn't say here, but I really hope the new one like takes whatever lessons we're learning and makes it rad.
Tools. Yeah. No, I like that too. Like everything they offered, like the package was good. I think the only thing they need to work on is like not the writing of their cutscenes, but kind of like I like the vibe of how they do it, where it feels like it's very what everyone says is everyone has a line rather than picking a choice. It's based on like a combination of your background and class, the kinds of things you'll say, and then it makes for these funny, weird moments where your party members just say like the damnedest things to each other. I kind of hope they keep that, but the storytelling was kind of the weakest part.
It's a little stilted. I mean, the thing I did like about Solasta 1 is it felt like a D&D game with a bunch of your friends who are not, crazy storytellers, excluding Bo, who's very good at our campaign we did. But just kind of like, hey, we're in this adventure, and it felt like that kind of adventure, and it played out like an adventure like that, whereas Baldur's Gate 3 feels like a game that is just really sweeping, epic, well-written, crazy voiced, all that stuff that also happens to have D&D as its rule set. But beyond that, it could have been any rules. It could have been their rule set from their previous games, and it wouldn't have mattered that much.
Yeah. It is really more lean on the video game thing, where this felt more like a tabletop war game.
Yeah.
RPG.
Yeah. It was something I liked about that.
Anyways, Celeste 2, I'm glad they're making another one. It's cool.
Yeah.
Project Robot looked interesting. Again, that's the Last Guardian Ico guy making a new game. So looked cool. Split Fiction also, I think, looked pretty cool. That's the F guy, F bomb guy, the studio, No Way Out, and all that. So that looked awesome. And Onimusha, definitely agree that it looks interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah, more of that RE
I played that
engine.
a bunch in the PlayStation 1, 2 era, and it's cool. Yeah. It's just samurai horror, and I'm down.
Yeah, felt like a series that would continue on and just didn't. So it'll be nice to see what they do with that. We didn't mention the what's the one with the wolf and you draw shit. It was a GameCube hit.
Oh, Okami.
An Okami sequel. I haven't heard that kind of cheering in a room in a while, and I always forget the kind of underground sort of cult following that original game has. I am curious about that.
Yeah, I never got into the original Okami. I actually just bought it because it was on sale. Might still be
super cheap.
It was on sale for like $3, if that. Yeah. And I was like, well, I know this is a beloved game, and so I should really give it a try, see what I think of it. Because I was never opposed to it. It just never came out at a time that was convenient for me. So I decided to check that one out, and I mean, I'd be excited for 2. People seem excited. It's just the original was never on my radar.
Yeah, mine either. Although I knew of it, and I knew people would compare it like to Ocarina of Time or something, and just say that this is like, oh, this is as good as that was, and you're missing out and all that sort of stuff. So
I think I played like 10 minutes of it.
Yeah. And I bought the same sale as you did, so I guess we'll find out now what.
Oh, did you?
What all the talk is? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a big Capcom sale on, and it was a part of it. I don't know if that's still going, and sadly, Steam is having a bit of a hiccup. It's not in our news though, but worth noting. I saw a trailer the other day that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which was one of the big crossover fighting games that they did, is getting a major graphics overhaul and like big update full of all sorts of new stuff for free if you already own the game. And that game was on sale for like $12 for the everything edition. Even less if you wanted just the base game. So I actually picked that up as well.
It's called Capcom Infinite and Beyond. Is that the new thing?
Something like that.
Okay.
The characters look a lot better. Like they've put a lot of color and style into it. It looks really good.
I have to check that out.
Really sort of pops. So
Yep.
I was like, heck yes, if they're going to give that as a free update, I'll just buy that game for cheap and have that. I always say that I want to get into fighting games, and then I have to learn. And
Oh, I know, dude. All the moves and shit. It's
so hard to
I love it and respect it, but if you want to get good, it's a commitment. No doubt about it. I've been playing some old SNK fighting games. There's some really neat stuff in there, but I just terrible. I'm so bad. It's like not even cool watching me do that. All right, well, there's what we're looking forward to from that. Some other news of note. We got secret level shorts are all out now for this first season. They also got approved for a second season. We talked a ton about this next week. What they added this week were the following. There was an Outer Worlds episode.
Do we just want to go one by one, talk about our takeaways as we go through them?
Yeah, we'll go through these, I think. The Outer Worlds Company We Keep is the title. I really like the story of this and couldn't stand the look of it because it just had so much uncanny valley going on with the faces. And it's because it's almost too good the way they did it because it's clearly very good performance facial capture. But then people's heads felt too big. I don't know. I can't even put my finger on what bugged me, but it was really taking me out of it. But I liked the story. It was good.
Yeah, if they had adopted a more stylized feel for this, I think I might have. This would have been high up on my list of ones I liked because story-wise, I thought it was pretty good. But I just spent so much time going, why does this look so weird?
Yeah, it looks
and
really
like
weird.
I just not able to fully grasp it. I'm like, it just looks wrong. Just constantly thinking it. And it kind of brought it down for me a little bit because of that, unfortunately.
What did you think, Bo, of the Outer Worlds one?
Oh, I didn't watch any of them except for Mega Man.
Oh, you jumped right to Mega Man, did you? Let's talk about that. Mega Man, an origin story that lasted 3 minutes.
Oh, I also watched Concord. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, the Concord one was awesome. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think, boy, it makes me even sadder that game couldn't find its groove because that trailer was rad. You know what? John made a good point in our Discord. He said if Concord would have played that instead of the trailer they did have at the event where nobody could get excited about it, they may have gotten more people into that game. And I think he's right because that story
I don't know
was
if the
awesome.
narrative for the game would have changed, but I think it would have maybe had a higher peak player count than what they had.
Yeah. But let's talk about Mega Man's start. My quick thoughts are way too short, very rad though, and it made me want a full series or movie or anything at this. I would love it. It was just had so much like whimsy but dark sci-fi. Just a lovely little tribute to the origins of Mega Man. What'd you think, Bo?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it was only 3 minutes. Like it felt like it was just like I wasn't expecting an hour, obviously, but it felt like whatever was going on was just getting started. Like, oh, he's gonna get in his suit.
Yeah.
And then it's over. I'm like, well, wait, I want to see some suit stuff. Like, you know.
Yeah, I could have gone for more. I really could have.
I could have gone for just a little bit more, you know, just a little bit more of a Mega Man. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And I don't know, like I was looking at it and I'm like, man, a new era for this game could like look like they could use this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Anyways, it was good, but very short, unfortunately.
John, your
Yeah,
thoughts?
this one's kind of tricky for me because if this had been longer, this would be easily my favorite of the shorts. Like for the 3 minutes that it was so freaking good. It looked amazing. I mean, we're gonna get to it, but like playing Mega Man X games was like my 6th most played game this year, according to the numbers. Like I spent a lot of time in the Mega Man universe, and the remixed music, which was directly out of the game, they played 2 themes, kind of done bigger in this, and like hearing that was so cool, and seeing new takes on Bomb Man and Rock, who will become Mega Man, which is also a nice nod to his Japanese name of Rockman. But I stand by what I said on Blue Sky right after this, which was like, this was an hour and 20 some minutes too short. Like, I need a full-fledged movie of this. I wanted to see it so bad. Like, they allude to Metal Man, and I was like, I want to see Metal Man. And then he's like, he just gets his suit on. I'm like, let me see the suit, which they do show you. That's nice. But like, I just wanted to see all of it. I was just, show me Dr. Wily, show me everything else that's going on. I want to see Roll, I want to see Rush. Let's get Proto Man in there. Like, all it did was just open a floodgate of I want. And then it was like the shortest episode in the entire thing. And that's such a bummer to me, because I was absolutely in love with this thing for 3 minutes.
Yeah, it is great. I was left wanting to. I think that's the big takeaway from everybody, was like, come on, man, more Mega Man. Let's go. What else did we get here? I really like the next one, Exodus Odyssey, which was a story. I don't know anything about Exodus, the game.
Yeah, because it's a game that's not out yet.
Oh, is that why?
This was an interesting one, because this is a case of them making a short around a game that has not come out yet.
Okay, so wow, that must be I think that's the only one like that, right? Oh no, that's the Pac-Man one, I guess, is now technically that too. But anyway, Exodus Odyssey told this, what I thought was a really compelling story about a father and his daughter, and how time and space works. And I think I really glom on to the interstellar aspects of it. And so it worked for me. It's just a short science fiction tale that really, really got my brain going. I won't say more than that to not spoil anything, but I thought this was very cool. And also, I also think I liked about it, just real quick, like unlike the Outer Worlds one, this one nails its style and didn't give me any. These are realistic characters, but stylized enough that the world didn't feel like they were overdoing the realism. It still felt like a bit of a fantasy, and that really works for me. I like that combo.
Yeah, I really wish the Outer Worlds one had looked like this.
Yeah.
It would have been much better. Apparently, Exodus is being developed by people who worked on Mass Effect.
Oh.
It's not a BioWare game, but it's by people who have moved on from BioWare.
Okay.
So it could be really cool. Could be an interesting thing. I certainly enjoyed the short.
Yeah.
So
it was quite good. That's one, Bo, I think you would really like if you when you catch up on these.
All right.
You're like, okay, I'll take your word for it. Those Celestials are cool. I just want to learn more about them. Then we got the Spelunky movie, or a thing called Tally, which is all about the roguelike platformer. It deals more with these concepts of video games have you start over and over, and you have all these lives, and how many times have you tried to do this and you can't quite do it, this roguelike thing. I thought it did a pretty good job. I liked the actors involved.
I loved the art style. The story it told was a little bland.
Wasn't the most exciting of the batch.
It's exactly what you expect when someone's like, I'm going to tell a story about video games. It's like, oh, what if we told a story about how when you die, you try again? Which is a part of Spelunky. Like, to be clear, Spelunky's narrative is like, you die, you come back, you die, you come back. It's part of the narrative. It's just presented in this way. This felt like it would have been a really good opening cinematic to a Spelunky game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to kind of bring you into the world and get you familiar with the concept that you're going to die over and over and over again in this game. That's like kind of a part of it. It was very cool to look at because, again, the art style was so good. And seeing some of the stuff from Spelunky in there, in, big, cool 3D models was really nice. Yeah. But like overall, I thought the story was a little meh.
It's definitely doing that style, that arcane look that everybody's into right now. Very painterly.
Yeah.
It's a very nice look for a reason. There's a reason people are using it a lot. So yeah, I'm with you. Story a little bit weak, still neat to look at. Certainly not the worst of the bunch. You'll know what I think is the worst coming up soon. Like of the entire batch. It's so bad. I can't believe it was in there. We'll get to that in a minute.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I think I know what it is based on what's left, but we'll talk about it.
We'll see.
Let's talk about the one everybody was interested in, Concord.
Concord, Tale of the Implacable. It's a story about a ragtag group, a captain and a crew that may or may not be loyal to her. It's doing heisty shit. And it's set in the Concord universe. These aliens did look familiar based on what I remember seeing from Concord. What brief things I saw.
No, none of these characters are in Concord.
No, not characters, but the race types. This chick with the
Oh,
spiky
okay. I was
arms
gonna say, in fact, one of the things that immediately stood out is how every character in this looked better than any of the characters in the actual game.
Well, that's true.
And maybe that was part of the problem.
Yeah, that may be part of the issue.
I was like, wow, where were these characters? They all seem much more interesting than what we got.
Yeah. I liked it. It's pretty standard, like betrayal and loyalty, and these different sacrifice, all these ideas that are in it. But I like the setting. I like that kind of Firefly vibe.
It was basically a watered down Serenity, is what this short is. It's a real tap water Serenity is what you're served up with this.
Tap water Serenity.
I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's. I think that one's worth seeing. It's technically impressive, but I also just think it's got some of the most dialogue in any of these, like story and like character setup and stuff like that. And I had a good time with it. It did not make me go, "Oh, I wish we could have seen the full potential of that game." It just made me glad they didn't take it out. I'm glad they kept it in because it was cool.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and I really like that purple cloud of shit that I guess is at the center of their lore.
Yeah. What's that called? They had a name. We'll never matter.
Was that the Tempest or something
like
that?
It. The Tempest, I think it's called the Tempest.
It's like Wrath of Khan Nebula stuff, basically.
Yeah, it just looked really, it was like very visually like, wow, it looks awesome. Like, the overall vibe and animation was really good.
Yeah.
And like you said, Tapwater Serenity, the story didn't blow your socks off, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think the premise of Concord was a little weird in the sense that it's about these heisty operators, but it's a PvP shooter. Like, seems like the lore isn't correlational to like what we're doing in the game,
Yeah, boy, are we gonna get to one of those in a second.
Yeah, that's for sure. How about this one? One of my favorites to watch, but I kept thinking about what it's based on, and it drove me slightly crazy. And that is Honor of Kings, The Way of All Things.
Okay, hold on. I want to tell you something before we talk about this.
All right.
I had no idea what Honor of Kings was.
Okay.
So
Really?
I watched this before I knew what Honor of Kings was. And I was like, well, this seemed incredibly interesting. What's the video game it's based off of? And then I Googled it, and it was like the most catfished I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, no, it's a mobile MOBA.
MOBA ripoff. It's a League ripoff.
Yeah,
right?
It's a League ripoff, basically.
Like League, because League has Wild Rift, and I think even Tencent has a version of Wild Rift that is ripoffy. That it's not Honor of Kings, I don't think, is it?
Good
question. It's called something else.
Vainglory.
It's Vainglory. That's
Vainglory?
the game I'm thinking of. Yeah, so Vainglory, because we looked at it, because after the Tencent purchase, they announced Vainglory, and it's like primary for like Asian audiences, but it is it looks, we're like, oh shit, they just took League stuff and made a Chinese version of this game.
I think you might have them swapped. I think it's Honor of Kings that did the swap. I think.
Really?
I think so. Because
Vainglory is just a straight ripoff.
Well, Vainglory is its own company, and they're doing their own deal, and they have a new game they just announced. I'm trying to find them here. I think it might be just flipped, but you're right. One of those. I think I played it on here before and talked about it.
I mean, there's probably 10 other ones that are ripoff. Like League is.
Oh yeah.
Undeniably, yeah. You're right that Honor of Kings looks more like current day League. In fact, yeah, I think Honor of Kings is.
It's easy to confuse them because this all sounds like just nonsense the way they do this. But
like they might both be operated by Tencent on some level.
Yeah,
it's just reusing the League assets to make like other versions of the game.
Yeah, so that is I mean, Yes, so it's weird and it's discordant that this is the game that it's based on. But I really,
So
really dug
there's
that
not a
thing.
League of Legends. They decided to do Honor of Kings.
Well, League's got a whole series that's a mega hit. I think they'll be okay.
I know, but you know what I mean? Where it's just like, I haven't watched Honor of Kings, so I'm looking forward to John's continued take on this. It's just the game's a ripoff.
Yeah, it's a total ripoff.
So,
The game.
I don't know
I thought
why they decided to make
this
an
video. What do you think of the video, John? Because I thought it was awesome. That was way cool.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, "What is this? Is this a third-person action game? Is this a city builder? What is this game gonna be?" When I look it up, and it was nothing like what I just saw. That's for sure.
Nope, not
Yeah.
that
It
at
dealt
all.
with philosophy and fate and time and like what's your place in a story, and if somebody's intuitive enough, like how can they manipulate you and how can you fight against that? And so deep.
It was
And then
really
it's
deep.
like, go look at what the game is.
And
It's
the
just
guy,
like, what
the
hell
old guy,
happened?
the wise old guy who's basically the construct of the AI is one of the most compelling, cool characters I've ever seen do anything. It was rad. Like all that stuff where they would talk and play. Is it Go with the stones? Is that Go? I don't know what game that is.
I don't know what the game is.
I think it's Go. It's popular.
Which was
there.
maybe my only problem with it, is every now and then they would show something dealing with it, and I was like, I bet if I knew how this game was played, that would mean something to me.
Yeah, it's very cool, Bo. I'd love to hear your take on it after you see it, because it is in contradiction from the game. Because
maybe I will watch it if you guys recommend it heavily, because that's why I've been picking and choosing. Because I'm like, I don't need to see an Honor of Kings show. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I liked it.
But if it's good, it's good. Like, yeah, sure.
Stands on its own. It's very cool. I will say now my least favorite. I actively hated this one, and I've liked all of these in different levels of like. There's nothing I haven't disliked in the entire batch. There's things I wish about them, like Mega Man longer, more 40K, don't stop. But most of them are positive things to say about these things. I hated the thing called Playtime Fulfillment, episode 15.
You didn't like the Sony propaganda piece?
Oh, I hated it. And I like the stuff, Kratos shows up in this one. So, surprise everybody, the trailers we saw about Secret Level where Kratos was involved, it wasn't the way you thought. He just shows up in this
just
thing.
The usual Sony bullshit. This is a genre of Sony ad where they just do weird things with all their.
It is a Sony ad, and they're
not
wrong.
Quite iconic IP. Like, it's not like Mario stands on its own in like an ad, but when PlayStation does an ad, it's got to do like a world of video games and just have all the weird shit.
And I don't mean it like in the cynical, just this is a thing to sell games. I mean it's literally like one of the ads you see them make where somebody's floating around a city, acting like the world's changed because they bought a PS3 and they can shoot stuff out of the sky and use their eyes to glow. And, one of those weird old ads. That's what this is. They try to be funny. They try to be referential. Helldivers people show up in it. Shadow of the Colossus shows up. Little Big Planet, Journey, Ghost of Tsushima, and God of War. These are all referenced in here. None of it worked. All landed flat. Hated it.
Yeah, it lacked a lot of the heart. I mean, even like the Helldivers guys going like shooter for democracy wasn't as funny as it should have been. I was like, like it here's the problem. Here's how I would fix Playtime. First of all, I would drop it from being a Sony story, because that's what kills the narrative of this story.
Yeah.
Because it's a story that is very much, and hey, this is one near and dear to my heart. It's anti-mobile gaming bullshit is the story, because it's this world where everybody's got these little robot pals that they take everywhere with them that gamifies every stupid thing that they do and gives them points for really fake bullshit that they don't need. And then the character starts to remember like, oh, what's the real reason I got into gaming? What are real video games? And that's a decent story. But when all the real video games are Sony exclusive video games, it gets a little weird for me.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
What I would have done, and what would have made this better, is instead of it being all Sony branded, take everything from all the 14 shorts that came before and have those be the things that are manifesting in this world. Pull in Mega Man, pull in Dungeons and Dragons, pull in New World, like pull in all the other games that we've seen across all these shorts, not just Sony, and maybe sprinkle some Sony stuff in there and have that be about like, hey, it's the heart of the video games and it's the time we spent together, and it's not about mobile microtransaction BS, it's about video games. Like, let that be the crux. I don't think it would be the best short, but it would have saved it, because honestly, my biggest issue is everything fell a little bit flat because it was just a bunch of random Sony stuff, and not even that much Sony stuff.
I guess realistically, they probably shouldn't have done it, because it's not like they can just put like branded IP into their show without paying people off, right? Like, oh, you want Blizzard stuff? What are you giving Blizzard? You want
Well, but
Nintendo
that's what I
stuff?
mean,
What are
is
you giving
maybe if
Nintendo?
they already had permission to do like these shorts, like they already had permission to do an Outer Worlds thing. So have stuff from your Outer Worlds short.
Yeah,
in here.
right. No, it makes sense. I'm just saying. I think no matter how you cut it, it's not like they could pull from everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
there would always be an omission. Like, I think only maybe Spielberg got away with it because of how much money they threw at they were able to throw at the problem, but
I think it just, I think it just, like Scott, it unfortunately fell like really flat for me.
Yeah.
I think I just wouldn't make because I'm just watching a little bit of it now, and I don't need to hear it to get the vibe that they're going for. Like, I should have just made something else.
I should have known. I should have known the little classic Sony PlayStation pin she has on her shirt. That should have been my sign. I saw that and went, "Uh-oh, what are you guys doing?"
I'm even seeing it right now. Yeah,
maybe that helped me with Intergalactic. Maybe that made me retrospectively a little less worried about Porsche and Adidas and everything, because here's an example of just egregious, just self-masturbation. Like, nothing about it made me go, "Ooh, neat way to tell a story." Like, they weren't doing that. It was just like Kratos, look at him in the street. He's in the street. It's like, come on. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
Also,
I think there's a way to do this that's effective. This definitely didn't do it effectively.
Yeah.
Also, basically what amounts to like a touch grass, a very complicated way to tell people to touch grass and not, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is also...
Yeah, they want people to touch grass, but they also want them to play all the PlayStation IPs.
Yeah, like it's
also the main character falls under this like insufferable main character trend that we've had lately. Like, this is a person that uses her AR goggles to nearly cause multiple accidents in the beginning because she's playing an AR video game to deliver a package. And we're like, yeah, let's root for this lady. She needs to get points so she can turn her bike orange. Like, I was like, is this lady like genuinely nearly causing people to die so that she can complete her AR video game that she's playing?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, she is. But we're going to root for her.
It's not dealing with the real dystopia.
Yeah. That's really
bad writing. Bad writing on this one.
Pretty dumb. I hated it. I will be honest. There's nothing else I didn't like. I like something about everything else, some more than others, but I really love the entire effort. Partly because they transcend their source. They take something as pedestrian as Pac-Man and they do something crazy with it. They take something like 40K and they really hammer home what I love about it. They're not being coy. They're just telling me these stories set in these worlds. This was not that. This was them going, hey. Just couldn't do it. I didn't like it. But I love the rest of it.
Beautiful, and she's really well animated.
None of that's a problem. That stuff's all
they
great.
They just kind of told a cheesy, dumb story. It's too bad they couldn't get away from that, but oh well.
I've rewatched everything except for that. I've seen the Unreal Tournament one and the Warhammer one and the D&D one way too many times now. I think the Crossfire one is rad, and that, by the way, Crossfire is a good example of what Outer Worlds gets wrong. Crossfire somehow managed to be ultra realistic without feeling off to me.
Yeah, every now and then it would get a little close, but it always managed to rein it in.
Yeah.
The only one of these I've seen multiple times is the New World one. It's not my favorite, but god damn, do I love the New World one.
It's pretty great.
There's something about just, and yet Elstrom lives every time he freaking wakes up from being dead. Cracks me up.
Yeah.
I only saw it twice because I showed it to my wife, which I'm probably going to show her the Mega Man one as well, because unfortunately, with a lot of these, like a lot of video games, they're very gory and bloody. Most of these, and a lot of times she was like, "Nope, not watching this." Like Warhammer she left as it was starting, and she came in at the end of the Armored Core one, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember you playing the Armored Core game," and she showed up just in time for the slow head squish, and she was like,
perfect.
and just walked out of the room. So I'm like, hey, I can show her 3 minutes of Mega Man. There's nothing graphic or terrible in it. This will be great. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I really liked these. I'm really excited they're gonna do a second season of it. I want to see Witcher.
Yeah.
I want to see Resident Evil.
Yeah. Cyberpunk maybe. Yeah.
Oh, Cyberpunk could be real good.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't complain if they got Blizzard to do an entry. That'd be cool.
Hey, it's time to redeem the World of Warcraft movie.
Yeah.
Don't send comments. It's not a good movie.
No, it's not.
And
I'm
do
sending
something
some
really
right now.
do a really good like Warcraft thing. That'd be awesome.
be
The only
all
problem is they're competing with Blizzard.
Yeah.
Because anything Blizzard sends them is going to be, or anything they do is going to be compared immediately to Blizzard's own cinematics. But like, now's your chance.
Yeah, I say get in there if you can. I mean, I realize all this stuff is, I think, produced. I don't know what it means to say produced in house at Blur. How many studios is it? Like, I don't know how they're created or how they work. I'd be curious about that, but that would be a little bit weird. Like, Blizzard's one of the few that still does in-house cinematics. Almost everybody else hires out to Blur or someone like Blur.
Yeah.
But they were in talks to do a Diablo TV show, and like it's not like StarCraft would still be a cool thing to see.
Hell yeah!
And
Oh,
it sounds like
StarCraft's
yeah,
it'd
like
be so good.
World of Warcraft. I mean, come on, they got that's their bread and butter money wise. They got that shit under control. But StarCraft is underserved as hell.
Yeah.
Hey.
Diablo is underserved as hell. Again, we got some cool cinematics for the launch, but we didn't really get any for the Vessel of Hatred.
What if they did a Heroes of the Storm one?
I mean,
about how. And just don't make the story like, oh no, real life video game characters telling me to touch grass. Make it cool. Yeah.
I'd be down with it. They won't, but I'd be down with it. Look, if you can do something for a canceled game like Concord, you can do something for Heroes.
Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't canceled when they were doing.
But I mean, again, and it stands out. Like Mega Man hasn't had a recent new release. Pac-Man hasn't had a new release, although one is now coming. Unreal Tournament has nothing new. Dungeons and Dragons is an established property for forever. The idea that a game can't be actively played in this, it certainly didn't, exclude some of these other games on here. So I think it's absolutely fine that Concord's on here.
So I think, I think, I mean, if it were me, I would go like, let's go esoteric. Like, yeah, it's cool to have the big franchises of the day, but like, actually, what are all the legendary games that we've played that we haven't heard from in a while?
Yeah, some mid to old. I mean, Pac-Man obviously is the throwback, and so is Spelunky in a weird way, even though it's not that
Mega
old,
Man
but...
2. It's not in its prime.
Yeah,
it feels like, oh yeah, that was big back in the day. What about an Altered Beast short?
Freaking love an Altered Beast short. See, that's a great idea. As long as he goes, what does he say? What does the Altered Beast guy say?
Wise from the grave.
Freaking love it.
What about a splatter? What about, since they are willing to go violent? Remember Splatterhouse for the TurboGrafx?
Yeah,
16,
dude, let's do it. Splatterhouse is awesome.
There's some like good ones where we haven't heard from in a while that like probably...
Legacy of Kain, the chat says.
That's a good one.
Blood Omen or Soul Reaver,
either
or both.
One or both. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's so many good things.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so many stuff that like we like that we just never got that still hold a place in our heart. Just look at the PC gamer list all time and go through and. I mean, we've never gotten a proper ass Half-Life cinematic. Even that would be kind of kick ass just to get some Gordon Freeman movie style something.
That'd be great.
A short story.
Does he talk?
No,
maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's
everybody just talks to him and he just
just kind of nods.
But like Half-Life's one or even Portal.
Portal I'd love that, dude. Portal.
Like, there's so many games that we haven't had cinematic treatments for that I'm like, You know, it's like, yeah, but Blizzard just has plenty of that stuff. Like, I'd be happily watch it. I'm sure it'd be great. But, you know, I'm like, what are the stuff that we'd love to see that we just never get a chance to see that this studio is willing to, like, you know, do, right? So
if you go look at, like, every cinematic, like, pre-rendered cinematic, not in-game stuff, but pre-rendered cinematic Blizzard has ever done from top to bottom, it's something like 8 hours of content or something. And that goes all the way back to, like, you know, the ugly Warcraft 2 cinematics and stuff like that. But there's a ton there, and it goes on for a really long time. You're right. We are not short on Blizzard cinematic royalty.
I mean, I'm just going to the PC Gamer top games of all time, like Doom. I take a Doom one.
Yes. Yes.
Stardew Valley. I take a Stardew Valley one.
Yep.
Do you think we would ever get in a million years? Do you think we would ever see a Nintendo property in one of the seasons of this show?
Probably not, because Nintendo's, you know, crazy.
You know what? That's a great.
On the
Metroid,
other hand,
maybe Metroid.
Imagine a Metroid one.
Yeah, Metroid I could see.
Or a Star Fox one. Holy shit, Star Fox would look so cool.
Yeah.
What about Disco Elysium?
Yeah. You can see him doing that though. Totally. Disco Elysium. I can see that.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, like that game visually, you know, you wouldn't see it from that perspective. A Hades one would be incredible.
For all I'm concerned, that art style in Disco Elysium is what Arcane lifted and used. It's that painterly thing. I'd never seen it until Disco Elysium. It would fit right into this. Just do it. Make it. Somebody call Bo. Yeah. Get the rights from Bo. No, you don't have the rights, but you know what I mean.
I don't have the rights. I've got the ideas, but honestly, the ideas are just the top 100 PC games of all time. Like, it's not. It won't take a genius to go through the list and go like, oh my god, Fallout New Vegas. Well, there's a Fallout TV show, but you know, Fallout might be good.
Oh, John, like Monkey Island, something in the Monkey Island universe.
Oh my gosh, Monkey Island could be so fun if you needed something lighthearted. It'd be so good.
Yep, it'd be a
Landscape
blast.
Torment, Thief Gold. Those are other ones.
You get Ron Gilbert to write that, he'd probably do it. Like,
get the guy who always voices Guybrush. He's got to sound like that.
Yep, you could totally pull this off.
Crusader Kings would be an awesome one.
Just be divorces and marriages and time-lapse photography.
I mean, even Vampire Survivors. Return of the Obra Dinn.
Well, I don't know how you would do Obra Dinn.
I'm just saying, like,
Obra Dinn would be terrifying.
Dwarf Game, though. What about Dwarf Game?
Yep. Dwarf Game would be great.
Yeah. All right. We've decided their next season or two.
It's just like, you know, like it just goes through the System Shock would be one to do.
System Shock. Get some Shodan in there.
That BioShock is they did some interview and said BioShock was on the list, but it got bumped. That probably means we'll still get it, but that was one of them.
BioShock?
Yeah. That was supposed to be
good. I like System Shock better, but I love the atmosphere of BioShock. Yeah. I would never argue with seeing more BioShock.
I'm just saying, I think like some of these games that already have lots of outlets and means to get this stuff produced, I would leave it more on them. Like, you know, make a cool Diablo show, Blizzard. Let's go. You know, stop being mad.
As long as it's Rapture, not Concord.
Like, I think Secret Level's best positioned for stuff that is unlikely. Like the Unreal Tournament one is a good example. I'm like, Unreal Tournament, like what? And then, you know, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I love that one.
Yeah, even Mega Man, I would not have predicted.
Do a second episode of Mega Man. There you go.
Do a whole 12-episode season of Mega Man.
I mean, if we're doing sequels, just season 2 is only 40K. Like, that's probably, you know.
Be fine with me. I love that one so much. I've seen that 4 times, 20 minutes at a pop.
I've watched it a couple of times. It's real easy to watch because it's short enough, and it doesn't get watching them destroy. Those guys just doesn't get old.
Nope, it really doesn't for me. I love the narration. I love everything freaking about that. I love what's in the box. What's in the box? All right. Well, let's move on from that. Those are our hot takes.
I have a programming idea. Yeah. If I can pitch you live on the show a programming idea.
Do it.
Core. Well, we're 3 programmers of note.
Yep. The next section we were going to talk about here is not currently working.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be effective. But next week's show is our end of the year show anyway, and we're not doing our award show that we're doing in January. What if we push our year in Steam gaming to next week?
I'd be totally fine with that. Then we can see it all in its glory. Right now it's all down. probably because everybody's looking at it. I mean, I did this screen cap earlier. This is the tease I'll leave you with. An embarrassingly number of games I played and hardly any finished. I played 361
you
games.
nearly played a game a day, a new game a day. And honestly, considering this is just Steam, you probably played over one game a day on average.
I think I did.
Platforms.
If you count other platforms, I absolutely did. Shapes 2 getting the most play. John, I thought you'd be happy about Final Fantasy 14.
This is the sole reason I wanted us to talk about this, because your second most played game of the year was Final Fantasy 14.
It's just crazy to read that, but I played that a lot on Steam Deck. Anyway, that's the only graphic I have saved. The rest of the stuff I can't access, neither can you guys. So I agree. We should. There's your tease. Next week, when we get closer to our end of year stuff, or for our end of year stuff, we will make this a big part of it, because I know a lot of people want to hear us talk about the Steam replay. It's just Steam's like half down right now.
Yeah, it's going to either be we talk about it this week and it's very casual based on what we can remember, or we do it proper next week. So I think we do it proper next week, because honestly, I might regret these words, probably not a lot to talk about next week.
Yep. That's probably true.
Week show Boxing Day. We're gonna do Boxing Day episode.
Yeah, we're gonna box all our shit up and take it back to the store.
Cool. All right, sounds good.
All right, so there's that. Here's a couple other bits. Diablo 1 and 2 devs secure $4.5 million for new AARPG. These are ex-devs, of course. It says, we're going back what made those early Diablo games feel so awesome, but taking them to some cool, new, fresh directions, unquote. I mean, that's interesting, because that's a pedigree to watch, but I've also seen plenty of D1 and D2 devs go do something, Hellgate London, for example, and have it be just a shit show. So
I think that's these guys.
Is it these guys? Is it these guys?
Oh,
no.
So.
Oh, no.
Is it bad? I don't know. I just saw it and I went, okay. I mean, what's notable about it is like the ARPG genre is like, I don't know. I think it's doing quite well. Path of Exile sold, I'm sure, in the millions for a free-to-play early access deal.
Yeah.
So it was of note to say, like, oh, we had a Path of Exile week, and then another company proposing to make an ARPG secured $4.5 million in funding. Makes sense. Like, the money's going to be there for an ARPG. So I don't know. I just, again, I'm sort of, stocks are down on Diablo 4 just because of the Play Nice book. Like, I'm just like, those guys have to make crazy money to consider something a success or worth a long-term thing. But like, I think if you're just going to make an ARPG and make a good one, we may see more ARPGs in the future, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Like the way we saw four people co-op shooter kind of things. Like, I think this to me signals like interest and investment for the game genre.
Yeah.
So.
It's Moon Beast is the name of the dev. They are known for Hellgate London and later better success with Torchlight. So be closer to that.
Well, again, Torchlight also.
I do like Torchlight. That was kind of my first. It isn't called Diablo ARPG love.
I love 2 so much. 1 I played the hell out of. 2 I thought was a really great refinement. 3 is garbage poop.
Yeah, I played a lot of 3 and it was not good.
No, really bummed me out. So I guess we'll be.
And this new one, Torchlight Infinite's just a mobile game trash thing.
Yeah, I didn't play that at all. I assumed it was bad. Anyway, Gwent is also coming back. Get ready for Gwent coming back into the Witcher 4. Devs don't think anyone will be disappointed.
News.
Yeah, big shock,
One of the
everybody.
best games within a game, and I guess Siri now is going to be the Gwent addict.
There are 2 examples of games that I think have done this well. Had a game within a game. It's this, a spectacularly good game inside of a game, which is also spectacular. The only other time I've liked it is in the Red Dead games with like Liar's Dice and the knife one that you do in Aliens. What's that called?
Oh, right.
They do a really good implementation of that stuff in there, and poker's really good in there. But it's just about the only time I'll accept it. Most of the time, I hate games.
You're missing the same game in 2 different games, and it's perfect in both of them.
What's the other games?
Final Fantasy VIII
Yeah.
and Final Fantasy XIV both contain the card game Triple Triad, one of the greatest card games in the history of mankind. And it is
Wow.
an amazing game within a game.
All right. I've never played it, so I'm going to take your word for it.
The coolest thing is in Final Fantasy VIII, they dedicate a while you're walking around the world button to challenge people to cards. Like there's literally a face button on the controller that its purpose, if you go up to somebody and you press that button, you basically go, "Hey, you want to play triple triad?" And they go, "Yeah" or "No." Like that's that's basically what it is. And there's the only thing that's kind of bad, admittedly, in 8 is they have regional rules, and some of the rules are brutal. Like it's hardcore. Like when you play this card game against NPCs and they win, they take your best cards away from you.
Yeah.
And then you have to play them again to get your cards back, but now they have your best card because they took it when you lost to them. So it's highly competitive, and some of the regional rules are bad. But Final Fantasy 14 fixes that, and they also don't steal your cards in 14, so it's kind of safe mode.
Okay. But people are compelled to like accept your challenge, because it sounds like something I'd get tired of real quick and I just wouldn't do. Like even Gwent did this to me.
In 14?
Yeah, in 14. I mean,
no, in 14 you go to a specific place if you want to play triple triad.
Okay.
You don't really do it out in the world.
All right. So it's not just like constantly getting turned down for a duel in WoW or whatever.
No, if you've ever been in, so I don't know if you've ever seen it. You may have to initiate it before they start showing up. But in 14, some characters will have a little card icon above their head. Those characters you can play triple triad with, and you just right click them and talk to them. Other players, I think you can challenge them, but I think you have to go to the gold saucer and actually participate in a tournament. I don't know if you can just challenge somebody to triple triad, but either way, FF14 players don't do it. I've never been challenged.
Right. Okay.
Mostly because they know they would lose, because I got quite a triple triad deck, let me tell you.
Well, you heard it here first. Triple triad, best digital card game within a game ever made.
That's right. Yeah.
No.
I disagree. But I don't know. I haven't played it. I don't know. Bo's probably played that. You probably played 8, right?
I remember playing triple triad, but I skipped all that stuff.
Okay.
At the time I wasn't into that kind of thing, but that was decades ago, right? So
Sure.
I think maybe now. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I just think Gwent is definitely S plus.
I mean, I like Gwent as well. I like them.
Gwent is good.
But I won't hate on a triple triad. It's I love good games within games are great.
Yeah, if
But
it can be
also,
done. Takes a certain amount of skill though. Usually that stuff is
play
trash.
Yakuza, which is like its whole thing is games within games. Claw Machine. I'm a Claw Machine pro.
Oh yeah.
And also Dragon Kart Racing and Dragon Racing in general with the little racer things with the little car Dragon Racing.
Slot car racing is so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It is good. That's true. That game is like 100 games within the game in a lot of ways. Lots of mini games. Not
all good. They could. I wish they'd remove shogi. But
they quit doing this with Animal Crossing. But the game, I think it was GameCube version of Animal Crossing, had a bunch of Nintendo games in the game. So you could play. You would have a random drop out in the world. You would get a copy of Balloon Fight, and you'd take it home to your house and you'd play it and it would go full screen, and now you're just playing a straight up emulated version of Balloon Fight. And I don't know why they stopped doing that. They quit doing it.
Well, they do it in Like a Dragon. There's a Sega Genesis in there that
that's cool. That's cool.
Not that one. It's the man who erased his name. I think there's a you're in like basically like the FBI hideout, and there's a room in the back where there's just a Sega Genesis, and you can find cartridges to play Sega games.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. When we come back from this break, we are going to do a Dear Martha, and we're also going to talk about the games we played this week. Is Path of Exile 2 still sucking up all the time of at least 2 of us? It sounds like yes.
Yep, there'll be a lot of past talk. Sorry, everybody.
Yep, don't worry. We're going to make you either want it or hate it. But either way, come back after this break. We'll be right back.